Okay, we're up to Chav Zayin on the base, right before the white lines, right? This is probably, if not the most famous Agadah and Shas from the top five. This is the well-known Maisa between where Rabbi Gamliel insults Rabbi Yeshua, and Rabbi Gamliel is taken down from the Nesios as a result, and he's restored. But the backdrop to understanding this is this takes place in Yavne. When the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, the Gemara in Hanizakin and Gittin describes that Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, at time of destruction, asked for three things from Vespasian, Aspasianus. And one of them was Tainli Yavne v'chachamecha, give me Yavne, and that the Nesias, the house and the Nesias should keep going, and someone to the cure of Tzaddik. Those are the three things he asked for. This takes place in Yavne, 14 years after the destruction, and Rabbi Gamliel is the Nasi. Rabbi Gamliel's father was Shimon Gamliel. He was one of the Asar Rugei Malchus. This was the Nesias. These are the direct descendants from David HaMelech, direct descendants of the king. Yeshua ben Chananya, he was the Av Bezdin. And this is at the time, the backdrop, think about 14 years after the Holocaust, Bnei Yisrael they're getting over the millions of people that were killed. And certainly at that time as well, in the Beis Hamikdash, there was, according to Josephus, well over 1 million people killed. So it was a tremendous mapala to Klal Yisrael. And Rabbi Gamliel, he wanted to strengthen the Nesias. He wanted to strengthen it. So there was a tekifus over here. There was the strength of Rabbi Gamliel that when you read the Gemara, apparently he appears to be a really, really, really tough guy. And has v'shalom, to think of him in a negative way would be incorrect. He felt that in order to go ahead and centralize Klal Yisrael, it can't be a time of Kol Isha Sheyasha Bein of Yaseh, like B'mei HaShoftim, but you needed a strong leader, a strong king. And therefore he felt any pigam whatsoever, any blemish whatsoever, challenge to his Nesias had to be dealt with strongly, and therefore he's going to deal with Rabbi Yeshua in a very strong way. But don't go ahead, chas v'shalom, and detract from the godless of Rabbi Gamliel. Shatan Rabbanan. Ma'aseh b'Talmud Echad Shmol Rabbi Yeshua. There's a Talmud came in front of Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Chananya, Daf Bezdin. I'm like Tfilas Avis Rishus L'Chayv. Tfilas Avis Rishus L'Chayv. As we mentioned the other day, the Tosis Rishus means there's another mitzvah. Can you go ahead and put it by the wayside to perform, but not to go ahead chas v'shalom and say that you can do away with it. But it's Rishus L'Chayv. If it's a Chayv, then you can't. So Amalei, Rabbi Yeshua told him it's a Rishus. B'olefnei Rabbi Gamliel. He then came in front of Rabbi Gamliel. I have over here Ayin Yeridei Asin Reishman Beis. And the Shachman base, how was it possible for him after he got it one psak from one person to go to the other person? But this Talmud went to Rabbi Gamliel. Amalei Tfilas Avis Rishus L'Chayva. Amalei Chayva. Amalei, so said this Talmud, Rabbi Yeshua, Amalei Rishus. Rabbi Yeshua disagreed with you. He said it's Rishus. Amalei said Rabbi Gamliel to this Talmud, Himtin, let's wait. Let's wait till the Bali Trason. Literally, the people with shields, they fight with each other in halacha. The warriors, the Beis HaMedrash. When the Bali Trason came in, many pshatim Bali Trason. They protect the generation, they protect each other from each other's barbs. The Shoel got up and said, what's the din? Amalei Rabbi Gamliel Chayva. Amalei Rabbi Gamliel Chachamim, who were there in Yavne. Klum yesh adam shecholik b'dovazeh. Is there anyone who disagrees? So Amalei Rabbi Yeshua Lav, Yeshua, they have best and answered for the Hamanam, no. So Amalei, so he said to him, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua, Amalei Meshvecha, Amalei Rishus. I heard in your name you said Rishus. So Amalei Yeshua, he said, Rabbi Gamliel said, Yeshua, Omer al Raglecha, stand up on your feet. So Amar Rabbi Yeshua, al Raglav Amar, Umalei Ani Chai, if I was alive, who mace, and the person who testified, who said that I said it was dead, Yachal Chai Lachas Mace, I will be able to deny it. Yachshav Shani Chai, but now that I'm alive, who Chai, and the Talmud's alive, Hey Yachal Chai Lachas Chai, I can't deny it. So Enochinami, I said it's a Rishus. So Rabbi Gamliel Yoshev Darish, Rabbi Gamliel is busy darshaning. Rabbi Yeshua Oimed al Raglav, and Rabbi Yeshua was busy standing on his feet the whole time. At Shiranu Kolaam, all the people there began to go ahead and mamish murmur. They said the chutzpah amaturgimin. Right, you see that. Sorry, also one of the Asuri Malchus, but you see that didn't happen at the same time because Rabbi Shimon Gamliel was killed already. Ahmad stand up. They told him to stop. So Ahmad said, they said, Amri, ad kama, how long, not say the nozzle, how long will we allow Rabbi Gamliel to go ahead and pain Rabbi Yeshua? the Rosh Hashanah, Yishtakit Tzarei. The Bechoros b'Maisid Reb Tzadik Tzarei. The dinner by Rosh Hashanah, Rabbi Yeshua had one cheshbon Yom Kippur was, and Rabbi Gamliel had a different cheshbon. Rabbi Gamliel made Rabbi Yeshua come to him on Rabbi Yeshua's cheshbon Yom Kippur. There was a Ma'aser of Tzadik where Yeshua mated a bechor. A bechor, if it has a mum, can be eaten it doesn't have to be brought as a carbon. And Rabbi Yeshua mated it. Rabbi Yeshua disagreed with him, and he was mitzayim in both these cases. So Hanami here also Masech the Berachos Tzarei. So he's going to mitzayim. Let's go take him down. We'll go down, take Rabbi Gamliel down. So they're going to take down Rabbi Gamliel from the Nesius. Of course, they're going to be noig covered to him. Ayin Taisus Yishonim Yuma Yud Gimel Diva Maskal Halacha Kreb Yaisi, where he discusses this a Kohen Gadol that served and was taken down because the other Kohen Gadol took his place. That we're going to be noig covered with him. So, however, man Nukumle, who are we going to go ahead and put in his place? Nukme Rabbi Yeshua, to put Rabbi Yeshua in his place, Bali Maisahu, that would be very painful for Rabbi Gamliel, and because his argument, he's the counteroffensive. Nukme Rabbi Akiva, to go ahead and put Rabbi Akiva in, maybe he'll get punished for Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel might feel in a certain way, and maybe Rabbi Akiva doesn't have the schusim to offset that. The less they schusavais, because again he was a ger. He descended from Gerim, from Sisra. Let's put up Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Why? Who chacham? It's very wise. Who Asher is wealthy. Who Asir leEzra, and he's miyuchas. He's miyuchas to Ezra. Who chacham the makshle mefarak leis. Chacham, if you ask him, will answer. Who Asher the islay the pluche lebekesa. If we needed someone to go intercede with the Romans, afu azol palach, he can able to go. Who Asir leEzra, this is chosavais, and he's 10th generation of Ezra, and he has chosavais. And therefore, the feelings of Rabbi Gamliel will not affect him. They came to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, and they said, "Nichalei lamar d'lahavi reish nesifta yinanasi amalahu ezel b'muchbin should basically. I got to go ask my wife." It's a very. Can you imagine? You go to a person, you say, "Listen, you want to be the king?" Because I got to go ask my wife. Also, the imlach b'yisai when he asked his wife. Now, it's very interesting why he asked his wife. There's a halacha of oina. The oina of a nasi is different than the oina of a talmid chacham, and therefore she had to ask the wife if she's meichel on her oina. So Amrulay, Dilma Avram Cham, maybe he'll take you down, like they took him down. So Amalah, so Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah told the l'shamish inish yuma chada b'kisa demokri. Let a person go ahead and use a choshev, a goblet, one day, meaning the Nesias. When it breaks, but at least I used it for one day. So even if you take me down, I will have been knowing this covered. I'm going to lay less than chiyur, so you don't have white. How can even a chabit person, you're not white? So he was only 18 years old. This happened. And what happened was that he got 18 rows of white hair in his beard. And how did it become Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? I am like 70 years old, but he wasn't Ben Shimon Shana. Again, we always speak out by the Pesach Seder that I was like 70 years old. It's a beautiful pshat, if I remember correctly, is that he was the Gilgal of Shmuel Hanavi. Shmuel died at 52, so 52 and 18 is 70. So Harini Kid Ben Shimon Shana. Right? Since he was the Gilgal 52 and 18, he was 70. So Tana Oisa Yain, that day that they took Rabbi Gamliel down from the Nesias, so cool l'shomer at Pesach. They took away the watchman of the gate. The Naslahem Rishus of Talmidim Likones, and they gave Rishus of Talmidim to come in. So Gamliel Machos that Gamliel had gone ahead and decreed, Roimer called Talmud Shein Torke Kabaroi. Any Talmud whose inside is not like his outside, lo Yikones the Reis and Midrash. So he had kept down the population. And that day, when they took him down, they opened it up to anybody. And now Yuma Itoisve Kamasaf Saleh, they went ahead and added many benches in the base medrash. How much they added? 400 benches. 700 benches. A possible guzma. When he saw there were so many people entering base medrash, right? We see that Rabbi Gamliel had chalishas adas. He said, "Omra dilma chas v'sholem anati Torah Yisrael." I withheld Torah from Yisrael. Anyway, Kodesh Baruch wanted to fire him. Efsile b'chalmei he saw in his dream, right? Chetzvi of chiyure the male kitma. You have a chitzvah is a barrel that's white, that's full of ish, right? And so therefore, it was showing that that good on the outside in one way, but you were right about the inside. It's ish. It wasn't really true. That's the achsui daite. So I find it fascinating that who's in the base medrash? She was just taken down from the Messias, and who's in the base medrash? Rabbi Gamliel. So the Koiser in the Yaakov writes the following: we see from the Maisur Rabbi Gamliel tremendous tayeles, and it's what who shein lahachzik machlokes. You should go ahead and strengthen the machlokes. Can you imagine Rabbi Gamliel would have gone ahead, go home and angry with everything, would have machzik machlokes, but no, he didn't. He stayed in base medrash. We should wait lechalik kavel leemes. He didn't hold himself back from the base medrash. He went to the base medrash despite the fact that he had been taken down. I think it's an unbelievable midah, and it shows, like I began the hakdama to the shir, that it was all the shem shemayim. It wasn't personal whatsoever. It wasn't personal. He wasn't makbid on his kavod. He was makbid on the nesias. Melech shmechol kavod and kavod moichel. He was makbid on, again, the shayftin kol isha yashim of yaseh. Without a king, anyone could do what they wanted to do. But no, he wanted to go ahead and establish the nesias, the king, the central authority. But once they disagreed with him, he was very open to go ahead and not be machzik the machloikas. A tremendous limud from Rabbi Gamliel. Tana, idios by Yom. Tana, they learned idios that day. Masech idios was learned that day. At least the last three prakim were learned that day. But Tana idios by Yom nishnes. The chalhechad amina and by Yom, and any place in Shas, the Mishnah says that day. Ahu yumahave. It's that day. In other words, that day meaning maybe not that day, but that kufa from that when it was taken down and the Beis Medrash was full of people, right? There was so much pilpul chaveirim, they were able to go ahead and answer all these shilas. But there was no halacha that was suspended in Beis Medrash that they weren't able to come up with an explanation. Even Rabbi Gamliel did not go. I told you, Rabbi Gamliel was there. I feel a sha'achas that Dan boy Yehuda Geramoni lifneihem. That day when he was taken down from the seas, Yehuda a ger from Ammon came in front of Beis Medrash Amalahem, and he said to them, "Mami lava b'kahal. What's the din? Is it possible for me to come into what to Kahal Hashem?" Now we know there's a din in the Torah. Lo Ammon b'Kahal Hashem. He wanted to know: is it possible in Kahal Hashem? That was the question that he asked. Okay, so what did Rabbi Gamliel say? Right. So Amar Rabbi Gamliel, so you see Rabbi Gamliel was there, right? It's asa at love b'kal. Why? Why? So Amar Rabbi Yeshua muta at love b'kal. It's muta. Amar Rabbi Gamliel but like fanem la yovei amani moed b'kal Hashem. Amar Rabbi Yeshua v'chi amar moed b'mkamei yoshvin. Is amar moed in their place? Kvar all the Sancheir Melech Ashur Bilbis Kolomos. Sancheir came along and he went ahead and he was mavalvul the Asar Shvat and people. You don't know who anyone is. Right? Shneimar v'asir gevulas amim. I will remove the boundaries of the nations, but and I'll plunder their treasures, right? And I'll bring down Yashrim from another place in the Kreisik. So in other words, you don't know he's from the original Amoin that we said that Lo Yavam B'Kal Hashem. The Chol the Parish, Ruba Parish, and anyone who's Parish from Roy the people, not from Amoin. So therefore, says Rabbi Yeshua, you're permitted to be Megaya. I'm Rabbi Gamliel. Like if I nemar the achre kain oshev eshvus b'nei amonim Hashem, I will return them. Mashma they returned. Like if I shovel them kaimay, I'm Rabbi Yeshua. Like if I nemar it says v'shafti eshvus am Yisrael, I will return the remnants of Klal Yisrael. But I only shovel, so they didn't come back. So miyad tiru lova b'kal immediately they permitted what to come into the Kahal Hashem. Immediately when this ma'aser transpired, they permitted to come into Kahal. I'm Rabbi Gamliel hoyel v'hachi. Since we see that Allah is like you, I'll go. If people are agreeing with Yeshua, I'll go in the fire of Yeshua. So here's the king. And he comes to the house. He saw that the walls were black. Amalei, so from the walls you could see that you're a blacksmith because it's so black. Amalei. Said Rabbi Yeshua, so what was the generation that you're the parnas, you're the leader? You don't know that Tzar Talmidei Chachamim. It's brought down that Talmidei Chachamim, they should be supported by the tzibur, and you should have been in charge of collecting money, and supporting me, and you did. You weren't able to go ahead and help. The Rabbi Akiva Eiger is the one, he brings down a tashbats. That's the Chayim Chal Yisrael to Mfanas the Chachamim and Dayanim, that they don't have to go, that they shouldn't have to be mevatel from the Melech Shemayim, and they shouldn't be mezalzel, have to go door to door to be supported. And Rabbi Yeshua was the Av Bezdin, and he did his parnasa with quietly, that no one should know about it, because why? It wouldn't be permitted for him to do malacha berabim since he was the Av Bezdin. And Rabbi Gamliel, since Rabbi Yeshua was doing his parnasa clandestinely, Rabbi Gamliel did not know about it. And if he had known about it, he would have supported him. However, even nonetheless, Rabbi Yeshua had a kindness on him that he should have gone ahead and checked and to see that he had parnasa. So that's the way the Akiva Eiger brings this tashbats to explain this Maisa over here. So therefore, that's the reaction of Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua to Rabbi Gamliel, looking at the way that Rabbi Yeshua lived. So you're not aware of the tsar of Talmidei Chachamim, the mahim isparnasim, how they go to get their parnasa, or mahim nizonim, how they are sustained. Parnasa is food. Parnasa is all the other needs that a person has. Amaloi, so nenesilach machali, I pained you. Said Rabbi Gamliel, be machal me. Rabbi Yeshua was not having any part of it. He said no. He didn't say anything. So Asa b'shpil kavod Abba, do it because the kavod of my father. So the Reb Nissen goes to bring down the kavod of Hillel Zaken, who was his great grandfather. Do it in the kavod that, right? Immediately pious. Immediately, Rabbi Yeshua did not stand on his. He didn't hold a grudge. He was mephiasim. So Amru, man nezav aleim lehu rabbanon. Who will go tell the rabbanon that Rabbi Yeshua was Michael Rabbi Gamliel? Amalahu kaivis. There was this launderer and said, "Ano azilna, I'll go." So Shalach Rabbi Yeshua Rabbi Midrasha with the following message: Man de lovish mada, the one who wears the mada, meaning the clothing of Malchus, really, like Rabbi Gamliel, Yilbush mada should wear it. Uman de loy lovish mada, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Yemalo leman de lovish mada, should say to the one lovish mada, Shalach matcha, but not al b'shei. You take off your, and you're the one not supposed to wear it. Them is your koyim, and it says like Yasa Shavit me Yehuda. So the one who's not supposed to be wearing it is telling the one who's not wearing it, you take off the kingly clothing and give it to me. So obviously that you can't do that. So Amal Rabbi Akiva Rabbanan Torah Gali, go close the doors down. Let's see Avdi Gamliel at Cyrus. That the Avodah Rabbi Gamliel should not come in with Cyrus, the Rabbanan. So Rabbi Yeshua, then the Kaivis came back and reported to Rabbi Yeshua exactly what transpired, that they weren't letting him in to give this message. So Rabbi Yeshua himself said, Mutiv the Ekim ve'ezal no legabayu. I'm going to go ahead and go. Asa Tarif Ababa, he came and knocked into the space medrash. Amalei Maza ben Maza Yazeh, the one who is the kohen who's in charge of sprinkling paraduma should go and sprinkle. Ushein loy Maza loy ben Maza, but someone who is not a kohen and not the son of a kohen. Yoimel Maza ben Maza in Mechem Mimara the Efrach Ephraim Akla. So in other words, just like you're a kohen, he's not. He can't tell you what to do, and you're a nasi. He's the nasi, and you should not be in his place. Rabbi Yeshua in his place, and Yeshua has been appeased. The only reason we did is for your covet. If you're at peace and you're not going to covet, then we can restore him. So then we'll go up and we'll go ahead and we'll get Rabbi Gamliel. So what should we do? Navri to go ahead and take down Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Gemiri. Similar to the Kohen Gadol and Yom Kippur. Once if he can't do the avodah, they go ahead and bring another Kohen. He'll never go back to being a Kohen head yet. Right. So you'll be the darshan after Musaf they were darshan, before Musaf they were darshan. Rabbi Gamliel 1 week and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah another week. We'll go ahead and create jealousy. Rabbi Gamliel tells Shapsi. Rabbi Gamliel should go ahead in 3 weeks. Marsha says 2 weeks. But Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah the 1 week. So you have a 2-to-1 ratio. So you know that Rabbi Gamliel is the first place. You don't need a 3-to-1 ratio. Shabbat. The Gemara says, who was the Shabbos who darshan that week? And it says, who was Shabbos Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The Yisa Talmud Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. At the end of the Maisa, we find out who's the Talmud that brought this all about. Was the great Rav Shimon bar Yochai, none other than the great Rav Shimon bar Yochai. So Musaf and Kalayon, Rabbi Yehuda said 7 hours in the day, but Musaf could be the whole day. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. If you wait that long for the whole day, you're called a Pesheah. You're negligent. Right, the person has two tefillas simultaneously. We had this Gemara yesterday. Because mincha is more common. We have a rule. Rabbi Yehuda, Aimer mispal shal mosif, Yakach mispal shal mincha. Shazu mitzvah veres like Rabbi Yehuda. After 7 hours, it's going to pass, and he holds that you're beginning mincha at 12:30, and this is going to pass at 1 o'clock, 7th hour. So mitzvah sheina veres. Some Rabbi Yochanan halacha mispal shal mincha, Yakach mispal shal mosif. Halacha is first of mincha, then daven mosif. Now. Rabbi Zera ki avi cholish. The gear said Rabbi Zera was tired; he couldn't learn anymore. I mean, he was really tired. He went and he sat at the opening of the yeshiva of Rav Nosson bar Tuvi. Omri ki chalpi rabbanon will come out. Oz okam kamayu the kabaligra. I'll stand up for them. Cover the Torah and get schar. So not because Rav Nosson bar Tuvi came out. Amalei manam halacha be midrasha. What's the halacha that was stated in the base medrash? Rabbi Zera yes Rav Nosson bar Tuvi. Amalei hachi Rabbi Yochanan. Ein halacha Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda. But so the halacha is first you have mincha. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan Amra, Amalei in. The Tanami Nei Rabbi Zera learned it from Rabbi Nosson. Our boy was in 40 times. Notice not to forget it. So Amalei. So Rabbi Zera asked Rabbi Nosson asked Rabbi Zera, Chadahi l'cha? Is it new to you? Or is it chadas hi l'cha? Is it the? In other words, you never heard halacha before, but you heard other halachas from Rabbi Yochanan, or is it a new halacha that you first time you're hearing something from Rabbi Yochanan? It's a new halacha, but I heard many times Rabbi Yochanan. Mishnah Mesafkali, Rabbi Shul Levi, Supik, who said that you daven mincha? Who says you daven mincha first? Right? Who said you daven mincha first? Right? That I thought it was Yeshua Levi, but no, it's none other than Rabbi. None other than Rabbi Yochanan. Now, Tosfos says a person on Yom Kippur should be very careful to daven musaf before they get the time of mincha, in order that you shouldn't have to mispal mincha before musaf. Since the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan, if you're going to simultaneously reach the zman of mincha, you'll have to daven mincha before musaf. However, the Ri says the Ri Azakin Kasu that it says you spell mincha before. You're going to miss the zman of mincha. It's In other words, if you can miss the mincha, then you'd have mincha before musaf. However, if you have time to daven mincha before musaf, that's the halacha. You go ahead and you daven musaf first, and that's what we do. So there's no rush to go ahead. And nonetheless, in the Shulchan Aruch brings down in Siman Tov Reish Chaf Sif Aleph Toiv Lekatze B'Piyutim B'Slicha Shachris. It's good to go ahead and shorten the piyutim and the slichas that you say by shachris, kedei lamaher be'inyan sheyispal musaf koydem sheva shoyis, to get in musaf was 7 hours of the day, right? Or mishabura kasav shlachatchila royally yois zoher lahasel tchilas milf is koydem shei shoyis, or mechzal yom shedavin before 6.5 hours in the day. If you shev sheish mechzal huzman tchilas mincha gedoyla, that's the time mincha gedoyla. So it's good to try to get mincha musaf in before the zman of mincha comes about. Come up with the Evid, if it happens in Irisha, Nesachet, Tfilas Musaf, if you go ahead and you delay Tfilas Musaf at Chatzi Sheva, Hayacha Sheva, Yesh L'Spal Musaf, you should have Musaf first, like the Ri. Right, like the Ri. Okay. I'm Yeshua Levi. Kol Nespal Tfilas Shal Musafim, La'acha Sheva Shai, says Yeshua Levi, anyone who davens Tfilas Musaf after 7 hours, Rabbi Yehuda, all over because the pasuk says, "Noigei mimoyed asafti mimech." Noigei mimoyed, you're afflicted by because you don't daven in the right time. Asafti mimech, I will have destroyed you. Ma mashma the hay noigei lishna tavra. How do you know that noigei is lashon of breaking? Kidim tagim Rav Yosef tavra asi al suneim the base Yisrael. It's lashon sagino. It's from the Klal Yisrael itself. Al the achuz manim adam di Yerushalayim. The achud is manim of feeling Yerushalayim. Not speaking about the golem, speaking about regular days. I'm Rabbi Loza, column is spelled Tefillah Shel Shachris, La'ach Arba Shoyes, anyone who davens after 4 hours, Tefillah Shachris, according to Yehuda, Allah Kasavoimer, Noigei Mimoyed Asafni Minech, Hayu, my mashma, the Hay Noigei Lishna did Soru, I Lashon of Tsar, not a Lashon of breaking, Lashon of Tsar, Yechsiv, Dolfa Nafshi, Mituga, my soul melts because of Tsar. Nachma Yitzchak, Mehocha, B'Swasel, Noigas, Behim Lord, B'Swasel, they're in Tsar, Behim Lord. Talking about, of course, Yom Yos, Eichen Yerushalayim, Amid days. Rabbi Yecholish, Rabbi was sick. Yossi the Pirkei of Yosef. It didn't come to the drasha of Yosef. When he did come, obviously it felt bad that Rabbi did not come to his drasha. And Abaye wanted to go ahead and give Yishuv Adas to Rabbi Yosef. Amalei, Abaye said to Rabbi Avya, by time Eliyasi Mal the Pirkei, why didn't you come? Amalei, I had heart pain. I couldn't come. Amalei, am I like time immediately? Why didn't you eat something and come? Again, they used to say the drasha before Musaf. Amalei, like Safal Lamar, Lahad Ravuna, Damar Rafuna, Aslay Ladim Shitam Klum Kodim Shispal Tfilas Musafim. And therefore, since I didn't have Musaf yet, I couldn't. Amalei, Ibayle Lamar, let's slay it's the Musafim the Yachid. You should have davened Musaf alone. Ubilitamidi, Ubilai and come to the drasha of Rabbi Yosef. Amalei, so Rabbi told him, like Safal Lamar, Lahaydam Rabbi Yosef, Aslay Ladim Shiyagim Tfilas of the Filas at Tzibur. So how can I daven Muslim before? I said, Lavitmar law, that's if you're davening in the same shul, you shouldn't go ahead and daven Muslim first. But let's look, right? But Yechidus, you could. So therefore, Abaye again is giving all reasons that Rabbi should have came. Anyway, let's look. So the law is not like that says you can't taste something for Muslim. You can't eat a meal, but you could taste something, provided you make Kiddush, like Rabbi Shul and Levi, not like Rabbi Shul and Levi. Rabbi Huna Hodam Maran, like we just said, that the law is not like Rabbi Huna regarding not being able to taste something from Musaf. You can imagine what it would do to the Kiddush clubs. And it's not true. You can't taste anything. You should go ahead and make Kiddush, and you could not eat a Suda if it's reached this man, but you could go ahead and eat something. So that's the end of. Okay. Next Mishnah. Very famous. Again, these are Gemaras that are Oimid B'Roimish Shalayim. These are Mamish Gemaras that are. Rabbi Yochanan Chimyan Kohen Hayim Espal B'Chnisasa the Beis Hamedrash. He would daven at tefillah when he entered the Beis Medrash. Will be Tziyasai, and when he would leave the Beis Medrash tefillah Ketzara, he would say a short tefillah. Amru Lo Imam Akum Tefillah Zu. What's the source of this tefillah? Amlehem B'Chnisesi Ani Maspal Shlayor David Kol Al Yadi. Then the Dvar Tekola in Psak should not happen. With Tziyasi, when I leave, Ani Nois Noido Al Chelki. I give thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the fact that it gives my chelik and Torah. Now the Brisa will go ahead and elaborate upon this tefillah. It's a tefillah that's said to this day. It's usually written in the New Gemaras have it written on the inside, and it's very, very difficult tefillah. And we're going to have to see a Shabbos and Chuvas Chanesofer to explain it. Tarabana b'chnisasi mahu oimer yiratzim u'fenech Hashem Elokai shlo yered devar takola al yadi. Let not a devar takola happen to me. V'le'echshel b'devar halacha. Nor should I go to the initial Devar Halacha. The Yismachu B'Chavei, and the Chaver would be happy. I should not say Tamei Tar, V'lei Al Tar Tamei. Notice does say Yisra Behetim, but the Vasa Chayiv. So that's like a double Pashet. Madach and double Tamei. So certainly on Yisra Behetim. V'lei Yichshul Chavei, right? B'Devar Halacha. My friend should not be Nichshul. V'Esmach B'Hem. I should be happy. Okay. B'Tziyasam Ha'olim. When he would leave, I would say, "Why don't you L'Fnech Hashem L'Kai Shesamta Chelkim Yoshe Beis Medrash? You put me in the Beis Medrash." Something Chelkim Yesh Vikrona. Ani Mashkim, Hey Mashkim. Ani Mashkim with the Torah, Mashkim with Barmatelim. Ani Amol Behem Amel. Ani Amol Mekab Musachar. Behem Alen is Kab Musachar. Because we say this by Yisiyim. Ani Rotz. He Rotz. And he Rotz the Chayolim. Haba. And Rotz the Rashachas. So the big question is, like, how can you possibly think that you can make a mistake and your friends are going to be happy that you made a mistake? If you take this literally, it's very, very difficult to understand. So I'd like to share with you the words of the Heilige Chassam Sofer. This piece is in Shalos and Chuvas Chassam Sofer or Chaim Reish Ches. Kasach Tmua. Shlei Yitachin. It's not possible. Shenis Yorei Nehamischabdim Mikaloini Chas V'Shalom. That he was scared that they would be happy in his embarrassment. We don't find any chacham that would be like that. Another problem. Forget about he made a mistake and his chaverim will go ahead and be nichshul. Why is he scared that he himself made a mistake? The halacha itself. And the only chashash that he was worried about that his chaverim would be happy. Ubir, and the Chassam Sofer explains this. Al pi amavur mesechta Baba Basra. Daf Kuf Lav Gimel Aleph Beis. Shepasuk Sham Rav Ilish. Rav Ilish gave a psak. Shein Nachan. Rav Ilish gave a psak and it wasn't correct. The Amalei Rava. Rava told him, "Daini dechatzotz hachi daini." There's a shaila there about Yerusha, about you gave it to a person who can be Irish, and you say I'll smack that it goes to the person afterwards who can't be Irish. Rav Ilish said you go ahead and you divide it. And the Rabbi said incorrectly, you should only go to the person who's a Yairish. And so he said, Daini the Chatzatzta Hochi Daini, Daini of Mamish makes Shoris, that makes hairs. So he in his Fleisch Rebbe they blew it. Rebbe was he blew it. He the Var Takala happened. Maybe that Rabbi said in his heart, if I wasn't there, he would have judged him properly. And Rava would possibly thought, not only this, if Rava wasn't there, I blew it, but any psak I gave where Rava wasn't around, I chas v'shalom blew it. So Rav Ilish had a tremendous chalishas adas, not because it is Maisa, that he blew it, and Rava saw his busha that he blew it, because Rava chas v'shalom would go ahead and think in the future, any past psak that Rav Ilish gave was wrong. Rava told him no. Ani Hashem ve'ita achishena. This is Ani Hashem, and this time I cased Hashem brought me here ksiv. Pasuk Yeshaya. Hashem brought me here very quickly. Kloimer. Shekeshat tzadikim tzvichim Yeshua. When tzadikim need a help, HaKadosh Baruch Hu me'atzil lehem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and saves them. And that's why ve'ita achishena. And immediately Hashem brought me here. V'afat yodeya ani b'cha. Shem oilam le'bosli de takola b'ira. And you should also know that I came that you should make a takala, shari'ata zanani Hashem, that you never made a mistake. You know why? Because first Hashem brought me here now. Kadesh leilava de takala. Pirish v'abir bezeh shebe'emes Rava sameach shehitzeles Rabbi Elish min ha'isser. He was sameach that he saved him. Why? Avol vadesh Rabbi Elish hayu ma'adav la'agia le'emes. That v'leyitztech Rava la'tzilo l'smeach she'atziloi. Right? In other words, that the Rava told Reb Ilish, be happy that I'm here, because clearly Hashem brought me here, because just like you never made a mistake in the past, he didn't want you to start making a mistake now. And that's why he brought me here. The Zohar Tefillah, that's the Tefillah of Nechli Menakana. Right? That's the Tefillah of Nechli Menakana. Shegam Yeshua Kizu lo yitztarach. Yeshua, that his friends should be happy that they were there to save him. That shouldn't happen as well. He shouldn't come to a takala. So what a fantastic pshat, and like the unbelievable pshat from the Heilige Chasam Seifa, that I should make a takala, that I should need my friend there to correct me, to show that I never made a takala in the past. Why? Or else he won't be there to correct me. So it's such a takala, that simcha, that my friend will feel that, Baruch Hashem was here to save you. That's simcha. Not a simcha that what? Oh, he blew it. Chas v'shalom. No, a simcha that I was here to save you. You saw Hashem care so much about you to save you from this mistake. Even such a thing I shouldn't come to. That's the emistic pshat in this tefillah. Beautiful, beautiful pshat. Beautiful pshat from the pshat some sefer Reish in Orach Chaim. That would explain it beautifully. Tanrabanan. Kisha Rebbe Eliezer. When Rebbe Eliezer got sick, Nichlasut Talmid of Berachos, Talmid in the great Rebbe Eliezer, and Hoknes, Rebbe Eliezer Agadol, right? Perked Rebbe Eliezer, Nichlasut Talmid of Berachos. Amruloi Rabbeinu, Lamadnos Orchas Chaim, Iniskaven L'Chaim Lahaba. Go teach us our Chaim that we should be Zeich L'Haba. So Amalahem. Now you know 3 things. Hizir b'kovet chaberachem. 1, be careful in the cover of your friends. 2. Keep your guys away from government. They should go ahead and be oisik and Torah. And 3, right? And when you daven, know, right? So beautiful pshat from the Pnei Yeshua. The Mishnah Nava says, Al shloishim dvarim ha'olam ha'imid, al Torah, al avoda, al gemilas chasadim. So the 3 things he's telling over here symbolize that, right? Gemilas chesed, you should be careful in the cover of your friend. Torah, don't get involved in politics. Sit between, be raised by Tamid Chachamim, Berachos Tamid Chachamim, right? And finally, Tefillah is avoda. The makam Tefillah is avoda. Tefillah is avoda. So therefore, those 3 things should be Zeich L'Haba. Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, because Shechol Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, and Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai got sick. Nichlasu Talmid of Levakos, Talmidim came to go ahead and be Levaka him. They came to go ahead and see how he's doing. Once he saw them, his skolivchos, he began to cry. Right? so beautiful the hair from the Level Yohu by Yikru Yitches, B'Shem the Alta Meklem. Why did he start crying when he saw his Talmidim? Like all of a sudden, he was sick, he was lying there, and all of a sudden he starts crying. Says the Level Yohu from B'Shem the Alta that Chas v'Shalom now, as he's going to the MS, maybe he's a mechanech, maybe he didn't fulfill his job. He's looking at his Talmidim, and maybe I blew it there too. What a message from a mechanech. Amar Talmidim, Ner Yisrael. Talmidim said, Ner Yisrael, Amar Yamini, Ner Yisrael, Amar Yamini. Yamamish the Yochanan and Boyaz. The Mashi brings that when Shlomo built the Beis Hamikdash, he had two pillars of the Ulam. One was the Yochanan, one was the Boaz. One was the right, one was the left. And you, Rabbi Gamliel, you Yochanan and Zakkai, you are the Yamini, right? You're Yochanan, you're not right. Pasha Kozik, the hammer that break anything. They ma'ata boicha. Why are you crying? If they're bringing me for the melech bas adam, shayom kan u'macha bekebet. They today and gone tomorrow. Shem koyes alay ein koyes kasalam. If he gets angry to me, it's not forever. When my srani ein yisrael, he puts me in prison, it's not forever. Then when we say the emis zoylam, it's not forever. I'm not able to go ahead and appease him. Well, the shach of a moment to bribe him. I'd still be scared. The actions from Malichem I see lifnei melech machlei amlechem l'kodesh baruch hu shechai v'kaim lo'olam v'lo mi olamim shem koyes alai kasei koyes olam. He gets angry at me, it's forever. My surrender is olam. Forget about it. There's no way you can go ahead and be feis kodesh baruch hu with money, with words. No, can I go ahead and bribe him with money? No, that. There's two ways. Achas shel gan eden v'achas shel gehenim. I don't know which way I'm going. I shouldn't cry. Give us a bracha. You son should moir shemayim aleichem. Moir basav dam. Fear Kodesh Baruch Hu like you fear basav dam. Amalei talmidim at kan. Amalehem halavai. Halavai that you should have fear of Kodesh Baruch Hu like you fear basav dam. Heidu kishadam oiva aveira. Omer shlo yirani adam. When you do an aveira, right? You're not scared of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. You're scared of a person. Shas b'tirasa amalehem pnu kalim. If they have tuma, take out all the kalim because the tuma makes it only mitama. Prepare a chair for Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda was coming. There's the Sefer Al-Gilgulim from the Rabbi says that Rabbi Yochanan Zaka was a Gilgul of Chizkiyahu, and Chizkiyahu therefore was coming to greet him. There's a wonderful pshat over here. The Rif in the Ein Yaakov. He says in the Shamas of Rishayim, they stay in Gehenim until the tzaddik dies, and then the tzaddik's neshama passes by Gehenim. He then takes the neshamas of those Rishayim with him, the Gan Eden. Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, it says this. Of course, he knew there was two roads. He knew he wasn't going to end up Gehenim, but he didn't want to even pass by Gehenim. Well, that would answer the kasha. How could he? Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai is worried he's going to Gehenim. No, he's not. He just didn't want to pass by the road of Gehenim to bring along. He wanted to go straight to Gan Eden. Thank you all for listening.